Chair, the purpose of this brief hearing this morning is to allow Mr. Agrizzi to put an apology on record in respect of evidence given in January last year. But because it's a public apology, it's necessary to place the words that Mr. Agrizzi would use in their context. And if I may take 5 minutes to do so.
Yes.
On the 24th of January 2019, Mr. Agrizzi testified and, amongst other things, gave testimony implicating Ms. Sishuba by saying that she had received money from Bosasa or one of its subsidiaries. A Rule 33 notice was issued to Ms. Sishuba, and she, consequent upon that, made an application requiring the allegation to be retracted, and if there was no retraction, she would apply to cross-examine Mr. Agrizzi. In response to that, and on affidavit, Mr. Agrizzi on the 8th of April 2019 retracted the allegation and apologized. A further affidavit was filed by Ms. Sishuba, which noted the apology, but raised the issue that the apology appeared to be somewhat qualified and proffered the wording of a different apology. There was a further response filed by Mr. Agrizzi on the 2nd of August, which confirmed the contents of his previous affidavit, and he stated, quote, "I take full responsibility for the error that occurred," unquote. The application by Ms. Sishuba came before you on the 3rd, came before you later in 2019 during August, and on the 3rd of September 2019, you, Chair, made a ruling saying that Ms. Sishuba's application was justified, but that no order was necessary to be made, and you noted that Mr. Agrizzi would apologize on record in an open hearing. If I may just quote from your ruling, Chair, you stated on the 3rd of September at page 44 of SEQ4, "I think it is enough that Mr. Agrizzi has said, 1, he made an error by suggesting that Ms. Sishuba had received bribes from Bosasa. 2, he said he takes full responsibility for that. 3, he said he apologizes to Ms. Sishuba for that. 4, he said he will repeat all of this when he comes before the Commission next time." In those circumstances, you said, Chair, it was unnecessary for you to make any positive order. Arising out of that background, Chair, Mr. Agrizzi is now here to place on record his apology. Mr. Agrizzi?
Chair, good morning again.
I'm sorry, perhaps you should be sworn so that
Yes,
the apology is on oath.
Sworn first. Please administer the oath of affirmation.
Please state your full names for the record.
Angelo Agrizzi.
Do you have any objection to taking the prescribed oath?
No, I don't.
Do you consider the oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes, I do.
Do you swear that the evidence will give will be the truth, the whole truth and nothing else but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you. Yes, Mr.
Agrizzi, I understand you have prepared an apology and are ready to place it on record.
Yes.
Would you do so, please?
Chair, and Mrs. Sishuba and your counsel, I'm truly sorry. It was, as soon as it was brought to my attention right in the beginning that there was a confusion, and I confused the names, I already apologized. So there was it wasn't malice intended. I think it was rough, it was confusing and everything happening. So I'm really sorry. And I don't want to belabor the point, but I think that I understand that it's done harm and damage. And as I apologized to Mrs. Sishuba this morning, I said to her sorry, and she accepted it. So I thank you for accepting my apology. I really do. I made an error, pure error, and I'm sorry. And I understand in that it's damaging to people, and I'm sorry. I really am.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that we are therefore done. Mr. Agrizzi has once again apologized to Mr. Sishuba, as said that that was an error, and I think that's where it should end. Thank you. Are you ready that we release Mr. Agrizzi?
Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Agrizzi. You are released.